It's an everyday thing, it's an everyday thing, it's an everyday thing when you let your nuts hang.
Raids, homes and businesses searched and records seized in the wake of a Care 11 investigation into a taxpayer-funded program to help vulnerable Minnesotans find housing. AJ Legault has the latest developments in Housing Hustle, a Recovery Inc. investigation.
Federal raids taking place across the Twin Cities metro today, including here at the Griggs building behind me in St. Paul. Federal agents are looking for evidence that taxpayer money that was supposed to help vulnerable Minnesotans find housing was instead stolen.
Computers, documents, boxes of evidence seized, including more than $100,000 in cash.
Federal agents are walking out the door with boxes right now.
Agents from numerous federal and state agencies launched a sweeping series of coordinated search warrant raids at homes and businesses. At one of the raids of a company called Brilliant Minds, we spotted acting U.S. Attorney Joe Thompson walking out.
Mr. Thompson, can we ask you a question or two? It looks like federal agents are raiding a number of housing stabilization companies. What can you tell us about what's going on?
All I can say is we're doing search warrants.
What's the goal of this investigation, or what are you looking for?
We're investigating fraud and obviously it's not fraud.
The now unsealed search warrant details an investigation into a massive scheme to defraud the Housing Stabilization Services Program by taking advantage of the housing and drug addiction crises. It cites Care 11's investigation that exposed companies like Brilliant Minds billing Medicaid for services clients say they never received.
100%.
So yesterday, as I pointed out, that Donald Trump and other Republicans kept saying Democrats are trying to give illegals Medicaid and insurance and stuff like that. And I believe this is possibly what they're talking about but this is fraud. It's not like Democrats are like, let's open up for the, illegals to get Medicaid. No, this is actual fraud. So only reason why I'm showing this is because I want to point out many different things, many different aspects of why they keep saying that the Democrats want to give illegals Medicaid. I don't think that's 100% true. What this is fraud. So if criminals are creating companies that are using laws to give illegal immigrants Medicaid coverage, that is a fraud. That has nothing to do with Democrats, but it's a loophole. And maybe that is what Donald Trump wants to shut down, but that will also cut off Medicaid to actual Americans who need the services. So let's continue to listen.
Scam.
Among the companies targeted were Pristine Health, that billed thousands of dollars claiming to help Ben and Haley Gutowski find housing, but never even met with them in person, leaving their family homeless.
They just billed us for nothing.
Agents also raided the Blaine home of two brothers, Anwar and Assad Adow, who were billing Medicaid millions of dollars through companies called Leo Human Services and Liberty Plus LLC for housing help clients told Care 11 was completely made up.
Well, they didn't do nothing for me.
They really didn't do much of anything.
The search warrant details how provider notes done by Leo Human appear to be fake and possibly generated by artificial intelligence. It also describes forged client signatures, something Care 11 asked Assad Adow about months ago as he walked to his brand new BMW.
We have documentation that shows you provided this record, and it's allowing your company to bill for somebody, and their name, they didn't sign it. It looks like it was forged, sir.
Nothing was forged, man.
A total of 8 different locations were raided, as the federal fraud investigation is clearly heating up.
Obviously fraud's a huge problem in Minnesota and hopefully they'll help put a stop to some of it.
So far,
here's more fraud.
Welcome. We will now start the press conference for Operation Twin Shield. I'll turn it over to U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services Director Joseph.
Director of U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. I'm incredibly pleased to be here today to announce the successful conclusion to Operation Twin Shield, an enforcement effort of U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services with absolutely invaluable support from U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, the FBI, and DEA. I especially want to thank St. Paul Field Office Director Samuel Olson, incredibly pleased for being here, as well as Abel Vecino from the FBI for joining us up here today. I also want to thank Jeff Brecht and Mike Kennard from FDNS, as well as Michael Borgen from USCIS. And also want to thank Bill McInn, our FDNS chief in Kansas City, who was on the ground during the entirety of the operation. Since September 19th, officers from our Fraud Detection and National Security Directorate, working in teams, have conducted over 1,000 site visits across the Minneapolis-St. Paul and target cases involving more than 900 individuals. Our officers encountered blatant marriage fraud, visa overstays, people claiming to work at businesses that can't be found, forged documents, abuse of the H-1B visa system, abuse of the F-1 visas, and many other discrepancies. Over the course of the operation, our officers found indication of fraud, non-compliance, or public safety and national security concerns in nearly a little less than 50% of the cases interviewed. We found troubling patterns with the Uniting for Ukraine program that should have raised serious concerns under other administrations, such as an individual filing to sponsor more than 100 aliens, and organizations sponsoring hundreds. We are continuing to investigate these cases. Some of the other troubling cases that our officers found. In one case, officers identified an alien who had overstayed his visa waiver, who was the son of a known or suspected terrorist on the no-fly list. He had previously been found to have engaged in marriage fraud, which resulted in the denial of several immigration benefit requests. He was arrested and is now presently being returned to his country of origin. In another, an individual admitted to obtaining a fake death certificate in Kenya for just $100 to prove he was no longer married. In reality, his wife is alive, living here in Minneapolis, and is the mother of 5 of his children. And incidentally, he has another wife living in Sweden with whom he has an additional 3 children.
Donald Trump was saying that that the Democrats are wanting to provide Medicaid for illegals. And when they provide Medicaid for illegals, I don't think it's actually Medicaid for illegals. I think it was actual fraud, but they were using the system that has loopholes that was creating this thing, and then it was actually fraud. It wasn't really people really helping anybody out. But again, this is all in Minnesota. A lot of this stuff is starting to be uncovered with the fraud scheme for providing Medicaid to illegals who weren't supposed to be getting Medicaid because they had fraudulent documents and all this stuff. And now it opened up a bigger case with illegal marriages. So with the illegal marriages, it's all tied in together. Fraud. But Donald Trump is saying that the Democrats, Donald Trump and his constituents, was saying that the Democrats are pushing this bill so it has this stuff in there. When in all actuality, it might be in there to help older people with Medicaid and other people who actually need it. Americans, real Americans who actually need it. When in all actuality, there's a bunch of fraud and stuff going on that's allowing illegals to. That's why I wanted to show both sides of the coin. I didn't want to just talk about it and not explain or try to figure out why Donald Trump and his subordinates keep saying that Democrats are providing health care for illegals. It just don't make sense. So this is why this is coming up, because of this stuff right here.
In another case, an alien entered the United States without inspection in 2023, was released by Border Patrol. The alien married a U.S. citizen while in removal proceedings and was interviewed at the Minneapolis-St. Paul USCIS field office just last week, where both he and his American spouse stated under oath that their marriage was legitimate. The USCIS officers conducting the interview were suspicious. The site visits were authorized the same day. The American spouse ultimately that afternoon admitted the marriage was fraudulent and entered into solely for immigration purposes and withdrew her petition for that alien. This type of same-day action for interview, from interview to site visit, has really never happened before. And I am incredibly impressed and thankful to the diligent work of the agents who made that happen for the first time, but not for the last time. And finally, I wanted to note, in one case, an alien engaged in marriage fraud by taking advantage of an elderly U.S. citizen spouse, including threats and severe neglect. The American spouse was able to divorce the alien with the help of her family and caregivers, but the family still lives in fear of retaliation from the alien over the failed marriage fraud scam. These that afternoon admitted the marriage was fraudulent and entered into solely for immigration purposes and withdrew her petition for that alien. This type of same-day action for interview, from interview to site visit, has really never happened before. And I am incredibly impressed and thankful to the diligent work of the agents who made that happen for the first time, but not for the last time. And finally, I wanted to note, in one case, an alien engaged in marriage fraud by taking advantage of an elderly U.S. citizen spouse, including threats and severe neglect. The American spouse was able to divorce the alien with the help of her family and caregivers, but the family still lives in fear of retaliation from the alien over the failed marriage fraud scam. These are not victimless crimes. Every case of fraud we uncover damages our national security, undermines the integrity of our immigration system, and as I just gave you an example, has real consequences. I want the American people to know that we are declaring war on immigration fraud. We will continue to pursue those who seek to abuse our immigration.
Now, I wanted y'all to hear something. I thought they was going to have it in there, but maybe I don't want to listen to 18 minutes worth of stuff. But anyway, they basically, in this same press conference, they were saying that this never happened under Donald Trump's administration. This happened under Joe Biden's administration when this all stuff. It could have been stopped in Joe Biden's administration, but none of them did it. So they want to thank President Donald Trump and his administration for allowing them to do such a thing. Okay, until I wanted to show it. I was gonna look for it. Maybe I could. Maybe it's still on my computer. My computer. This is a computer. Hell, I don't even know. But I'm gonna tell y'all what. Y'all gonna everything that go good, y'all want to blame Trump. Everything go bad, y'all want to blame Trump too. So I just say blame Canada, honestly, because they be tripping. Canada be tripping. Oh, you know what? I know where to find it. Goddamn, Diddy in the news. Oh, when Diddy get to sentencing, oh, we're gonna get on that. But let me go to Fox News, because I got to get this information from Fox News, because they be having the truth. If any news source has truth in its news, it's Fox. Okay, like trust me, believe me. I'll never tell a lie. I don't even lie to my wife. You hear me? I would never. That's like crazy. You know, black men don't cheat or lie. Okay. Damn, man. Anyway, let's go on to the next one.
Good evening. Another group of Minnesota Medicaid providers is under fire for fraud tonight. this time tied to services meant to help adults with disabilities. We're learning state officials have suspended payments to 28 providers. It is the third state program flagged for fraud just this month. Uba Ali has more on the latest in a series of schemes draining the state of Minnesota.
I will do everything in my power to detect and prevent fraud. Payments will be shut off immediately at the first signs of fraud.
That's Department of Human Services Inspector General James Clark in front of the House Fraud Committee last week, promising to weed out bad actors. An executive order from Governor Tim Walz gave DHS additional authority, and today they used it. WCCO obtained the letter the temporary DHS commissioner sent to lawmakers stating the inspector general has been made aware of allegations of fraud in the MA Integrated Community Supports, ICS program. ICS is a Medicaid service that allows adults with disabilities to live independently in community through provider-controlled settings. Since the beginning of this month, DHS suspended payments to 28 providers for billing for services that were not provided, a common thread between the recent federal fraud investigations. No charges have been announced, but state officials say we are taking more aggressive actions to stop payments, including relying on tips and data mining that demonstrate a credible allegation of fraud. It all started with the Feeding Our Future scheme, where $250 million was stolen. Last week, 8 people were charged in separate cases in a more than $8 million fraud scheme tied to a housing program. And this week, the first person was charged in a $14 million fraud case involving autism services.
In so many of these waivered services programs, they're essentially...
State officials say a payment withhold is a temporary action that is taken while an investigation is pending.
Oh, she looks Somalian too. Is she in on it? Anyway, a lot of people are saying that that all of this stuff, all this fraud stuff, is happened under Joe Biden's administration, but the actual governor of Minnesota is a Republican, Tim Walz. So, who you gonna believe? Did Donald Trump? I mean, did Joe Biden have control of what was happening under Republican Tim Walz state? You know, you see, this is why y'all got to take accountability. People got to start taking accountability, okay? When Trump is mad at Chicago, Oregon, California, when he's mad, Chicago ain't a state. When he's mad at Illinois, Oregon, California, because they're all Democratic states, you know, he says, oh, they're not doing this, or they're not tough on crime, they're not tough on immigration, they're not doing this. But at the same time, when you have a Republican ran state by the Governor Tim Walz, lips sealed, he ain't said nothing. When the biggest crime against Medicaid and DHS and marriage to keep illegals in the country is happening in Minnesota under a Republican governor, Tim Walz. Tim Walz, I don't care. He is a Republican.
We can do things during the shutdown that are irreversible, that are bad for them and irreversible by them, like cutting vast numbers of people out, cutting things that they like, cutting programs that they like. And you all know Russell Vought. He's become very popular recently because he can trim the budget to a level that you couldn't do any other way. So they're taking a risk by having a shutdown because of the shutdown, we can do things medically and other ways, including benefits. We can cut large numbers.
Well, damn, he is a Democrat. Well, shit, guess blame the Democrats then. What's your point? Blame the Democrats. Blame them. I thought he was a Republican. Hell, because everybody keep talking about, oh, he doing this, he doing that. Damn, they don't even like him. This is why I be saying people don't like Democrats. Maybe that's why they attacking his state, because he a Democrat. And they coming after all this. Man, yeah, I just learned something my damn self. Goddamn. Well, Tim, you fucking up, Tim. Hey, I tell you when I'm wrong, Tim messing up. I'm trying to figure out what's going on and why they keep blaming Democrats for doing this. And damn, I uncovered some shit, and damn, it's Tim. Tim is a damn Democrat, so that makes sense. Tim, you need to be doing something about this. Well, I guess they are. But if Tim is the Democrat governor, why is his Justice Department going above him and thanking Donald Trump? Why they not thanking Tim for being hard on? Tim is a Democrat. He's supposed to be being hard on crime, right? Is he hard on crime? I guess not.